Did not think I'd be talking about this movie on the channel, but without spoiling stuff, definitely falls into my territory. The Watchers. I went and saw this with Wilda, and, she was the one who really wanted to see it because she's really into, I'm just going to say Black Mirror-y stuff, suspense stuff, stuff like that. I'm into that stuff too, but, I didn't really know what to expect going in because at first I thought this was an M. Night Shyamalan film, and, I love Shyamalan when he's good, and when he's bad, he's still fun. But I actually found out this actually isn't M. Night Shyamalan, this is his daughter, which, okay, cool. And it's her first movie. And you know what? Honestly, for someone's very first movie, not bad, he's... It's not, your dad has done a lot worse. So, be proud of yourself. Some people are saying this movie's terrible. People saying, oh my god, this is the worst movie of the year. No, I'm sorry, I'm gonna have to strongly disagree with you. I will say, look, while I didn't think it was outright bad, I didn't think it was good either. I just kind of thought it was average. I give this movie a 5 out of 10. There were some good aspects to it, though honestly right now I'm trying to remember some, and I'm struggling a little bit, but I can remember a lot of the bad aspects. I think I just might have had a little bit of fun with it because of what it turned out was going on and what I'm into. They actually kind of reveal the twist at the halfway point. They reveal what the Watchers are. And then there's but once they did that, I was okay, now you're going to have another twist, aren't you? And I actually was able to predict what the other twist was. But yeah, how do I talk about this movie without spoiling it? Well, I'll say this. Again, the premise is really interesting. Really interesting premise. It kind of suffers from what M. Night typically suffers from. A really good premise, execution not so great. I mean, a lot of the time it was a little boring, and when you really stop and think about what is going on, and I'll talk about this in spoilers, you realize, wait, this doesn't make any sense at all. It's it's cool and it's fun at times, but if you think about it, you're going to realize, wait, why would they do that? Wait, how come they can't do that? Wait, how did that even happen? Wait, how do you not know this? It's why this, why that? So many things don't make any sense. And early on, the acting from Dakota Fanning was actually... I've seen Dakota Fanning be really good and stuff, so it's weird to see her, it felt like the acting was really off, but I guess that's the Shyamalan experience. No, I feel bad saying it's the Shyamalan experience. This isn't M. Night. This is his daughter. I should stop. But it's kind of funny how many of M. Night's tropes are in this film. You've got good actors whose acting just seems so off. Speaking of which, I think my camera angle's a little off. I don't know. Just deal with it. And, yeah, like I said, it's boring at times, and when the twist is revealed, it's definitely a fun twist for people like me, but it's very strange. It's a little bit goofy, and, yeah, the character has this, dark backstory, which, when they showed it, I laughed out loud in the theater. I don't think I've ever laughed out loud in the theater at something that's supposed to be tragic. It was genuinely supposed to be tragic, and I burst out laughing. I didn't do it. I just and then I stopped myself because I realized I was the only one laughing. It was so silly. But, yeah, I don't, do I recommend this? I don't know. There's so much I want to say, but it's all spoiler related. I'll say there are things that don't play into the story at all. The main character vapes in her first scene. She's vaping in a pet store, and then she has to go outside because obviously you can't freaking smoke or vape in a pet store. That's bad for the animals. Like, and there's no reason given as to why she did this, and it plays into nothing. So I was like wondering why even have that scene. Like, that just makes the character seem like a disingenuous dummy. The main character has a twin sister, plays into nothing, but I do think there was a metaphorical reason for it, and I'll get to that later. The main character likes to go to bars and pretend to be someone else. Plays into nothing, but again, I think it's literally just for the metaphorical reason. I'll get into that later. But she never... I thought, like, at some point in the film, she was going to use her vape for something, and unless I forgot, feel free to tell me if I forgot, she doesn't ever use it for anything. I thought at some point in the film, she was going to pretend to be someone she's not. She doesn't. Like, so... Again, didn't play into anything. I thought there was going to be some twist involving her sister. No. So, I feel like I know what the metaphorical reasons for a couple of these things were, but plot-wise, they didn't do anything. So, yeah. It's, this is a very 5 out of 10 movie. It's okay. I didn't leave it angry or annoyed that I had seen it. I just left it kind of feeling normal. So that's about all I can really say non-spoilers. Let's get into spoilers now, because that's where the stuff I really want to talk about is. Okay, 3, 2, 1, spoilers. Oh my god! The best part of this movie for me, I couldn't believe it. So, when the movie opens, they literally say, there's a forest in Ireland where people are disappearing and no one knows what's going on. And I said this as a freaking joke. This happens to me a lot during films, by the way. I love it when this happens. I leaned over to Wilda and I said, Ireland, it's the fairies, honey. Because I love Celtic myth. I study Celtic myth. And she laughed. And was like, yeah, watch out for the damn fairies in that forest. Because there are so many Celtic stories of fairies in forests that do kidnap people and stuff. That's the twist! The Watchers are fairies. They're literally fairies kidnapping people in the forest. So yeah, they're fairies, changelings, which is correct. Changelings are, in Celtic myth, they're fairies who can shapeshift. They most often will shapeshift into babies and try to take the place of babies, but it is suggested they can take just about any form. So apparently what's going on is, what a twist this was. Years ago, the fairies and humans lived together in peace, and the fairies were basically gods. It's pretty Celtic myth accurate, actually. But then the humans were afraid of the fairies' power, so they went to war with the fairies, and the humans somehow won, even though the fairies had magic and wings and shape-shifting ability and all kinds of, and were revered as gods. The humans somehow beat them in a war. But the humans didn't kill the fairies. They imprisoned them underground, however the hell you do that. So they imprisoned all the fairies underground in the forest and put this big seal on it. And eventually, over the years, I'm guessing centuries or something, the fairies eventually tunneled back up into the daylight. But apparently they can't survive in daylight, and it's never specifically said why they can't survive in daylight now. It's not even addressed that, like, they can't now, but they could before or whatever. But here's what I'm guessing. I'm guessing because they spent so much time underground, they are no longer, able to survive in the light. But the movie never says that. Like, it would have made sense to say that because there's so much exposition in this film. People say so much exposition all the time. There's literally, like, in one of the scenes, like, the main character says to a parrot that she's supposed to be escorting, hey, by the way, my mom died. It's the 15-year anniversary of her death, just so you know. And I was like, okay, I guess that's how we're going to reveal that. And then later she gets a call from her twin sister on the phone saying, hey, you weren't at mom's funeral. She's been dead 15 years. And it's like, You didn't need to. We have two different scenes saying the same damn thing. Who the hell reminds their sister exactly how many years their mom has been dead for? What a weird thing to say. So yeah, exposition all over the place, yet they never reveal why the fairies suddenly can't survive in the light. There's just this offhanded mention where they say when they came out of the ground, they realized they had lost their magic and they didn't have wings anymore. Okay, sure. And so now what the fairies are doing is there's this complex that was built by a professor who wanted to study the fairies, but he died a long time ago. So now when people come to the forest, they somehow, it's, again, never explained how. When you come to the forest, you somehow just magically get lost in the forest. You could probably say maybe it's the fairy magic, but they said specifically the fairies lost their magic, yet they can still get people lost in the woods and they can still shapeshift somehow. Okay. Like, the girl's car breaks down in the forest magically. It's literally magic. You see, like, Celtic runes appearing on her car radio thing. So the fairies apparently have the magic to do that. Then when she gets out of the car and walks away from it, the car disappears behind her. So the fairies apparently have the magic to do that. And so people get trapped in this complex, but the fairies let people live, like, without hurting them if they just stay in that complex during the night so that the fairies can watch them. And while they're in the complex, like, the girl's watching, like, a reality TV show on DVD on the TV in the complex, because, get it? She's watching people just like the fairies are watching people. Oh, it's a meaningful thing. Ooh. And then it's revealed the reason the fairies are watching them is because they're studying them. They want to study how they look and how they move and how they act, because the fairies want to turn into humans. Why? No, it's because apparently it turns out not only can the fairies not survive in the daylight, they can't leave the forest. It's literally said by one of the fairies at one point, we're in the spoiler section, it's literally said by one of the fairies that the fairies cannot leave the forest. Are you sure? I am completely sure. So they can't even leave. So why do they want to turn into human? Like, just to dick around? Is that the reason? I thought they were turning into humans so that they could return to the regular world and, like, blend in with humans and, like, either just live there or they wanted to, like, take over. Like, they wanted to kill the humans and get their revenge or something. But no, they can't leave the forest. So they're just turning into humans just to dick around, I guess, as humans. There is one fairy whose story makes a little more sense, like, because it's revealed, again, we're in the spoiler section, I don't have to hold stuff back. The old woman who's in the compound with the other people was a fairy the whole time, and she was intentionally deceiving them and stuff because she wanted to study them up close in order to learn even more than the other fairies were learning. I was like, oh, okay, that actually makes sense. And I did call that the old woman was a fairy because I was like, this woman knows way too much and stuff like that. But I was wondering about it because the old woman could walk in daylight. I was thinking maybe she had studied the humans so closely she learned how to mimic their skin, like biology, and that's why she could walk in daylight, and I actually thought that would have been cool. But no, it turns out the reason she can walk in daylight is because she's half human. Because apparently, back when humans and fairies were at peace together, some of them would fall in love and have children together. So she's apparently a half-human from like 1,000 years ago, or 400 years ago, or whatever. Because she must have been conceived back when the humans and fairies were at peace. There's no way a human got lost in these woods and banged one of these hostile predator fairies. So she's clearly been underground just as long as all the other fairies were underground, yet somehow she can live in the light and they can't. It's like, oh yeah, she's half human, but she's been underground just as long as all the others, right? So if being underground is the reason, you'd think she couldn't survive in the light either. I don't know. I like my twist better, where she was copying their biology, not just their appearances. But yeah, so... But it did make a little more sense, like she wanted to study them up close. apparently she can walk in the light because she's half human, and she wanted to come to the human world, and I'm not even entirely sure what she wanted to do. Like, she wanted to just kill and replace the specific people who were there in the compound with her. There's also a silly scene where a fairy is banging on the door pretending to be one of the survivors' husbands. And she's like, "That's my husband." And the old woman's going, "No, that's the fairies. They're tricking you. That's the Watchers. They're lying to you." And I was thinking in my head, my God, just ask him a question only he would know, because they can't read your mind, right? And then that literally happens in the film. So, okay, point to the film there. The old woman says, "Ask him a question. Ask something only he would know." And yeah. And so she does that, and the fairy can't answer it, but for some reason she still thinks that's her husband, even when he doesn't know something he should really, really know. It's kind of ridiculous. I mean, I guess you're desperate, desperation makes people do desperate things. Also, the tragic backstory that I laughed at was when the main character was a little girl, she accidentally got her mom killed. Because it's weird, like, they just show this scene where, like, there's this beautiful field, and she in a little dress as a little girl walks up to her mom, and everyone seems so happy. It's just like, what a nice day, let's go for a drive. And then they get in the car and they drive, and then just for no reason, the little girl starts being a bitch in the car, the main character. Like, and the mom's like, "Hey, will you knock that off?" And the little girl has her window rolled down. The mom's like, "Roll that window up, it's messing with my hair," or something. What a weird thing to say. So the mom starts rolling the window up, and then the main girl just puts her hands on the window for no reason and watches as they go up and start getting crushed, and she starts screaming, "I hate you! I hate you! I hate you! I hate you!" And the mom's like, "What's going on?" She turns around, the car immediately gets hit, and the mom dies, and I burst out laughing. I was like, that's the stupidest thing I've seen in a while. Why would you do that? I do believe the only reason the main character has a twin sister is because, get it? Her sister looks like her, and the Watchers are trying to look like her. I believe the only reason there was a scene where the main character pretends to be someone else in a bar is because, get it? She's pretending to be someone else, and the Watchers are pretending to be other people. I get it. I don't understand the point. Like, I get your, symbolism, but I didn't, I don't know. She could have used it in some way. I don't know. I can't really think of a way. So apparently there was this professor who was studying the Watchers. This professor's an idiot, by the way. He built the compound. He would hire 13 people. Every day he would hire 13 new people because he's a jackass. What he did was he would have people build the compound, and then at night, the professor would hide in the compound, and he would trick the builders into staying outside at night so that they would all get killed, and then he would go hire 13 more people every day. And it's like, why though? Why do you do that? What do you have to gain from doing that? Just let them go home or let them come in the compound with you. Now you have to hire 13 more people every day. What are you killing these people for? What do you gain from it? Is the answer like, I don't want anyone to know about the compound? Okay, then let them sleep in the compound with you until the last day comes, and then have them be outside and then kill them all. It didn't make any sense, man. Like, what the hell? How can you be this dumb? And he said, I intentionally picked people with no families, loners, and all that. Is it that... Let's assume this compound just took a week to make, and that's being very generous. Then you need 7 times 13. You had to track down and find 91 different people who nobody cares about. You asshole. So then he somehow traps one of the fairies. This is in his audio logs. He trapped one of the fairies, and by some miracle of luck, it just happened to be the one fairy who was half human, because she said she was an outcast from the fairies for being able to walk in the light. So clearly she was the only one. So this guy magically managed to get the one fairy that's half human, and he trapped her when she was younger, and he trained her to imitate his dead wife because he wanted his wife back. But then at some point he literally just goes, I can't believe what I've done, I'm gonna have to kill her and then kill myself. And it's like, why though? It's so annoying. So yeah, he does that. Like, no, he doesn't do it. He goes off screen and you hear two gunshots, and obviously, since we didn't see it, we know that the fairy didn't actually die. And yeah, it turns out to be the old woman character. But the professor does reveal that he has a boat to get off the island. So the characters all go to that boat in the nick of time, but the one male character who's with them is a goddamn idiot. He breaks off from the group because he sees what is so unbelievably obviously a watcher pretending to be that girl's dead husband again. We've already established that the husband must be dead at this point. And he finds him and is like, oh my god, it's you. Hold on, I have to help you. First of all, like, it's amazing that it's this guy and not like the wife or something. Like, but we all know it's the Watcher, and it kills him, of course. And I thought of a better way to do this. It would have been so much more simple to just, like, the group is running to this boat. They're low on time. So you could have just had, like, him get separated from the group during the run. And then as he's trying to make his way back, he encounters a Watcher disguised as the girl he likes. Then that would have made sense because, like, you could understand why he would think that's her, because she is knowingly still alive and running to the boat with the rest of the group. So it would have made a lot more sense just to do that. But no, so he gets killed, and then the main girl goes to the professor's study when they get back to the regular world, because she just lies and says she's his niece, and I guess the whole university just believes her and lets her into his private stuff. Like, they don't ask for ID or nothing. I guess that's her pretending to be someone else. Fine. And that's how she learns about, like, that he had a dead wife, and that it looks exactly like this old woman they know, so she must be a Watcher, and she must be a half-human because she can walk in daylight. And so then she goes and confronts the Watcher who escaped with them, and then it's apparently the old woman. She didn't know she was half human, so the main girl tells her she's half human, and then when she realizes this, she also realizes there might be other half humans in this world she can find and befriend, and then just suddenly she has wings, just out of freaking nowhere, and she flies away. And by the way, this main character girl is such an asshole. She was transporting, for the pet store she works at, she was transporting a rare, valuable bird to the zoo, and at the end of the movie, she just keeps it. She just stole the damn thing for no reason. And yeah, the bird imitates voice. Get it? It's metaphorical because the Watchers imitate people. Oh my god. So yeah, that's the Watchers. That's what I thought of it. Kind of broke down all of it, but I did kind of have fun with it because of the whole fairy reveal thing. Like, Will and I were laughing so hard when it turned out my joke came true. So yeah, I don't know how to end videos.